As an anxiety disorder specialist, I understand what not to do when anxiety shows up. Now, notice I said when instead of if, because we all sometimes experience anxiety and stress, but how we respond to anxiety determines whether or not it's going to get better or worse, or if an anxiety disorder will develop. You might be surprised by a few of these items on my list. Number one, I do not change or cancel my plans, avoid doing something, or going somewhere because of anxiety. Experiential avoidance is an attempt or a desire to suppress unwanted internal experiences, such as emotions or thoughts or memories or even bodily sensations. Experiential avoidance primarily maintains or feeds anxiety disorders, panic disorder, health anxiety, agoraphobia, and other phobias. Now, people avoid thoughts, feelings, and situations to feel better in the short term, but they're creating and reinforcing anxiety disorders and OCD in the long term. Number two, the second thing I try to not do when feeling anxious is to do something or bring something or someone with me to feel less anxious. These are called safety behaviors or cues, and we all use them sometimes. But safety behaviors include things like bringing someone with you if you feel too anxious to drive somewhere alone, carrying certain foods or water bottles, checking where the nearest hospitals are located, carrying around medicine just in case, bringing disinfectants, and things like that. Now, even though these safety behaviors are common, if I were recovering from an anxiety disorder, panic, agoraphobia, or OCD, I'd be very aware and identify all of my safety behaviors, and I'd be consciously letting them go one by one. Safety behaviors reinforce and feed the anxiety cycle by sending the wrong messages to the brain that we're unsafe without them. Now, number three, the third thing I do not do when anxious is use a breathing technique or an app or a device to calm myself down. This is a practice that's changing in my field. We used to teach breathing techniques and progressive relaxation techniques to reduce anxiety for people in these high anxiety states. But breathing techniques and relaxation are techniques we use to avoid feeling anxious. We do not want to do anything to avoid anxiety. Breathing techniques and relaxation techniques do work in the short term. You can activate the parasympathetic nervous system and you can calm yourself in the short term. But what you're teaching your brain about anxiety is that to fear symptoms of anxiety when you use these techniques. Practicing breathing techniques during times of high anxiety and panic can act to bring it down in the short term, but reinforces the fear and the cycle of anxiety in the long term. Now, I still recommend learning breathing techniques and progressive relaxation and yoga and meditation, but only for overall stress management, not for use during high times of high anxiety or panic episodes. During those times, training your brain that there's nothing to fear is essential. So instead, practice tolerating those anxiety symptoms without doing anything to calm yourself down. Now, the fourth thing I would not do is use an anxiety medication, like a benzodiazepine, to calm myself down. Now, if you're taking benzodiazepines to manage anxiety, please discuss this with your physician before making any changes. The medical profession on a whole is not prescribing these medications as frequently and freely as they used to, as they're becoming more aware of the rebound anxiety and the potential side effects, including the withdrawal syndrome. Now, I recommend the website benzoinfo.com for more information. Now, the fifth thing I don't do is tell myself scary what-if catastrophizing stories, like what if I pass out or have a heart attack or no one's here to save me? What if I go completely insane and this anxiety gets so bad that I have a complete meltdown? Anxiety is just a fight or flight or freeze response. I'm in no danger, and it's nothing that I'm experiencing is going to harm me. Now, the sixth thing I do not do is seek reassurance from family or friends or those closest to me, when my anxiety is bad. This is a little bit misunderstood. Now, people around us can unintentionally reinforce our anxiety. If they know that we're having a high anxiety day, they may ask how we're doing, or maybe they start doing things for us that we would maybe typically do ourselves. So the more they do for us, the less confidence we have in ourselves, and the more our anxiety cycle is reinforced. So while I want people in your life to treat you with kindness and compassion, I suggest having conversations about how helping behavior can sometimes, unfortunately, reinforce and strengthen anxiety. And finally, the seventh thing that I do not do is monitor my anxiety symptoms. I notice, but I do not monitor my heart rate, palpitations, breathing, sweating, shaking, throat sensations, dizziness, blurred vision, none of it. I would know those things were happening, but my goal would be to teach my brain that those are normal symptoms of anxiety and nothing to be concerned about. If I were to begin monitoring my symptoms mentally or with devices, I'd be actively training my brain to be highly sensitive to anxiety symptoms, and I would likely develop an anxiety condition, health anxiety, or panic disorder. I understand that those symptoms can happen if my brain misinterprets them as dangerous. And I understand that the symptoms of anxiety in my body are not harmful or dangerous. My job is to move through my day doing what I had planned, what I care about doing, regardless of whether or not anxiety decides to show up. Anxiety is treated paradoxically. We step into the fear without avoiding or doing anything to calm ourselves during those episodes. And our brains then learn that anxiety in our body is nothing to fear, and our symptoms will diminish on their own while our tolerance improves. I left you a PDF called Face Fear on how to move through high anxiety and panic in the description below. So if you need extra help recovering from health anxiety or panic attacks, please visit pagepradco.com, and I've got some treatment opportunities for you there. So until next time, I'll see you in session. Take care. Bye-bye.